If you have a federal student loan, there is a deadline you need to know about. Starting July 1st, 2026, the income-driven repayment plan you are currently enrolled in may be replaced by something new. If you are on Save, Pay, or ICR, those three plans are being phased out under federal law. The plan that replaces them works differently. It calculates your monthly payment using a different formula. The new plan is called RAP, the Repayment Assistance Plan. In this video, we are going to walk through exactly how RAP works, how it compares to the plans it replaces, who stands to benefit from it, who might be better off on a different path, and the specific steps you need to take before the June 2028 deadline. By the end, you will have a clear picture of what this change means for your specific situation. Let us get into it. Before we get into the mechanics, let us spend a moment on why this matters. There are currently 43 million federal student loan borrowers in the United States. Every single one of them is affected by what happens between now and June 30th, 2028. This is not a minor administrative update. It is a comprehensive overhaul of the federal income-driven repayment system. The law that created RAP is called the One Big Beautiful Bill Act. It was signed on July 4th, 2025. This is not a proposal or an executive order that could be reversed with a stroke of a pen. It is a passed piece of federal legislation. The timeline is set. Here is how that timeline unfolds. On July 1st, 2026, RAP officially becomes available. Any borrower who takes out a new federal student loan after that date will have exactly two repayment options: the Standard Repayment Plan, or RAP. The income-driven plans that existed before Save, PAYE, and ICR will not be available to new borrowers from July 1st, 2026 through June 30th, 2028. Existing borrowers have a 2-year window to evaluate their options and make a choice. This is the decision period. On June 30th, 2028, Save, Pay, and ICR are fully eliminated. If an existing borrower has not selected a plan by that date, the Department of Education will automatically enroll them into RAP. That automatic enrollment is not necessarily a bad outcome, but it should be a deliberate choice, not a default. Let us build RAP from the ground up, step by step, with real numbers. You pay between 1% and 10% of your total annual adjusted gross income, divided into 12 monthly payments, with $50 subtracted for each dependent you claim on your tax return. The minimum payment is $10 per month. After 30 years of qualifying payments, any remaining balance is forgiven. Start with your adjusted gross income, which is commonly called AGI. This is not the same as your gross salary. Your AGI is your total income minus certain pre-tax deductions, things like contributions to a traditional 401k, health savings account contributions, or student loan interest you paid. If you contribute to a pre-tax retirement account, your AGI is lower, which means your RAP payment is also lower. That is worth keeping in mind when you are planning. Next, you apply a percentage to that AGI number. The percentage is based on a bracket system. It starts at 1% for adjusted gross incomes just above $10,000. It increases by 1 percentage point for every additional $10,000 of income, up to a maximum of 10% at $100,000 and above. So if your AGI is $55,000, your rate is 5%. If your AGI is $80,000, your rate is 8%. You multiply your AGI by your percentage. That gives you an annual payment figure. Divide that by 12 and you have your base monthly payment. From there, subtract $50 for each dependent you claim on your most recent federal tax return. 2 children would reduce your payment by $100. 3 dependents would reduce it by $150. And finally, there is a floor. The minimum monthly payment under RAP is $10. There are no $0 payments under this plan. Let us run 2 examples, so this is not abstract. First example, a borrower earning $55,000 a year, filing as a single person with no single dependents. Their adjusted gross income is $55,000, placing them in the 5% bracket. 5% of $55,000 is $2,750 for the year. Divide by 12. That is a monthly RAP payment of $229. no dependents to subtract, so your payment is $229. Second example, the same $55,000 income, but this borrower has two dependents. The monthly base is still $229. Subtract $50 for each of the two dependents, that is $100. Their monthly RAP payment drops to $129, $100 less per month. Just because of the dependent credit. For a family, that difference adds up to $1,200 per year. Here is where most existing borrowers need to pay close attention, because the comparison between RAP and the plans being eliminated is not straightforward. The numbers can look very different from what you might expect. Let us look at the four income-driven plans side by side. RAP payment is 1 to 10% of your total adjusted gross income. Forgiveness after 30 years, available to new and existing borrowers. SAVE payment was 5 to 10% of discretionary income, with income below 225% of the federal poverty line excluded from the calculation. Forgiveness after 10 to 25 years, being eliminated. PAYE payment was 10% of discretionary income. Forgiveness after 20 years, being eliminated. ICR payment was 20% of discretionary income. Forgiveness after 25 years, being eliminated. IBR payment is 10 to 15% of discretionary income, depending on when you first borrowed. Forgiveness after 20 to 25 years. This plan is staying. Now, here is the detail that matters most for borrowers currently on SAVE, and it is one that has not received enough attention. SAVE had what was effectively an income protection feature. Before calculating your payment, it excluded income below 225% of the federal poverty line. For a single person in 2026, that threshold is roughly $32,000. What that meant in practice: if your income was $50,000, SAVE only calculated your payment based on about $18,000 of that income, not the full amount. RAP uses your total adjusted gross income. There is no exclusion. The full number is used. Here is what that looks like in real numbers. A borrower on SAVE with $50,000 in income might have paid around $75 per month under the old calculation. That same borrower under RAP, at 4% of their full $50,000 AGI, would pay approximately $167 per month. That is a difference of about $92 per month, over $1,100 per year, for the same person with the same income. This is why it is important to actually calculate your numbers before assuming RAP is the lower payment option. For some borrowers, it is. For others, particularly those who benefited from SAVE's income protection, it is not. Now, there is one meaningful improvement in RAP that is worth understanding clearly: the $50 principal guarantee. Under RAP, if your monthly payment does not reduce your loan balance by at least $50, the federal government covers the gap. This prevents a situation called negative amortization, which affected many borrowers under the old income-driven plans. Negative amortization is when your payment is so low that it does not even cover the interest accumulating on your loan. Your balance grows month over month even as you make on-time payments. It is one of the most frustrating features of the old system, and it could leave borrowers owing significantly more after years of payments than they owed when they started. Under RAP, that cannot happen. Your balance either stays flat or decreases. That is a real and concrete improvement for borrowers in lower payment tiers. There is also a difference in forgiveness timelines. Under PAY, forgiveness came after 20 years. Under IBR, for newer loans, also 20 years. Under RAP, forgiveness is after 30 years. That's 10 years longer. For many borrowers, that 10-year extension matters. We will come back to that in a moment. And one more thing to factor in: under current federal tax law, student loan balances forgiven through income-driven repayment plans are treated as taxable income. The federal tax exemption that protected forgiven balances from income tax expired at the end of 2025. That protection is gone. This means that if you reach forgiveness under RAP or any remaining IDR plan, the forgiven amount could be counted as ordinary income in the year it is discharged. As an illustrative example only, if $80,000 were forgiven in a given year, and the borrower was in the 22% federal tax bracket. That could result in a tax liability of around $17,600 for that year. Your actual situation would depend on your income, your filing status, your state's tax rules, and the tax law in effect at the time of forgiveness. This is something to model with a tax professional well before you approach your forgiveness date, not in the year it happens. There is no universal right answer here. RAP helps some borrowers significantly. For others, a different path may be more favorable. Which category you fall into depends on your specific financial situation. RAP is likely a good fit in several scenarios. If your debt-to-income ratio is relatively low, meaning your loan balance is modest compared to your income, RAP gives you a straightforward path to paying your loans off and being done. You may not need forgiveness at all. Your payments reduce the balance each month, and you will finish before the 30-year mark. If you have dependents, the $50 per dependent monthly credit is a genuine financial benefit. With 2 or 3 dependents, that adds up to significant savings over time compared to a plan without that feature. If you are working toward public service loan forgiveness, RAP is your plan. PSLF forgives your remaining balance after 10 years of qualifying payments. While working full-time for a government employer or nonprofit organization, RAP qualifies. The standard repayment plan, the only other option for new borrowers, does not qualify for PSLF. That is not a close call. If you want a simple, predictable system and have spent years navigating complex IDR rules, RAP offers clarity. One formula, one forgiveness timeline, one certification process. On the other side, there are situations where RAP is worth examining more carefully before committing. If you were on SAVE and benefited from the income protection it provided, your payment under RAP is likely higher. Calculate the difference before the auto-enrollment date catches you. If you have a high debt-to-income ratio, common among graduate school, law school, or medical school borrowers, the forgiveness timeline under RAP is 10 years longer than PAYE and up to 10 years longer than IBR. For a borrower with a large balance who is never going to pay off the full amount, that is 10 additional years of payments before relief. IBR, which remains available for existing borrowers, may be a better fit in this case. If you are significantly into an existing IDR plan that has a shorter forgiveness timeline, switching to RAP may extend the time until your balance is forgiven. Your previous qualifying payments generally do count toward RAP's 360 payment threshold. You do not start over from zero. But if RAP's 30-year clock extends beyond when your current plan would have forgiven you, the math may not favor switching. And if you are married and file taxes jointly, the RAP calculation uses your combined adjusted gross income. Depending on your household's income balance, that combined number can put you in a higher payment bracket than either of you would be in separately. Some married borrowers have used separate filing strategies to manage IDR payments. A conversation worth having with a tax professional, if this scenario applies to you. One more important clarification on how the clock works. If you are currently on SAVE, PAYE, or ICR, and you switch to RAP, your previous qualifying payments generally count toward the 360 payment forgiveness threshold. You are not starting over. The practical question is, how do the total remaining payments under your current plan compare to the remaining payments under RAP? Running that comparison through the Federal Student Aid Loan Simulator is the most reliable way to answer it for your specific numbers. Let us move from context to action. Here is a clear map of what to do and when. Between now and July 1st, 2026, your goal is to understand your situation. This is not the time for permanent decisions. It is the time for information. Go to studentaid.gov, log in to your account, and confirm exactly which plan you are currently enrolled in. If you are not sure, find out now. On July 1st, 2026, RAP officially opens from that date through June 30th, 2028. Existing borrowers have a 2-year window to evaluate and choose. New borrowers after that date will be choosing between the standard plan and RAP only. June 30th, 2028 is the hard deadline. If you have not made a decision by then, you are automatically placed into RAP. There is one situation where the deadline is earlier and more urgent, and that's a Parent Plus loans. Parent Plus loans are not eligible for RAP. They are also not eligible for most income-driven repayment plans directly. However, if you have Parent Plus loans and want access to income-based repayment options, you can consolidate them into a direct consolidation loan and then enroll in an eligible plan. The window for doing this closes July 1st, 2026. After that date, Parent Plus loans issued going forward will have only the standard repayment plan available. There are no income-driven options for new Parent Plus loans after that deadline. If you have Parent Plus loans, this is the most time-sensitive item in this entire video. Look into consolidation before July 1st, 2026. Here are the 4 steps every borrower should take. Step 1. Log in to studentaid.gov and confirm which repayment plan you are currently enrolled in. Step 2. Use the Federal Student Aid Loan Simulator, which is available for free at studentaid.gov. Run your numbers under RAP and under your current plan. Look at both the monthly payment difference and the total amount you would pay over the life of the loan, including forgiveness timelines. Write those numbers down. Step 3. If you are on Save, Pay, or ICR, set a calendar reminder for mid-2027 to revisit your decision. That is approximately 1 year before the deadline. Your income may change. The tax treatment of forgiven loans may change. Do not lock in a permanent decision today if you have 2 years to observe and adjust. Step 4. If you are a new borrower after July 2026 and you plan to pursue public service loan forgiveness, enroll in RAP. The standard plan does not qualify for PSLF. This is not an optional consideration. It is a requirement of the PSLF program. And on the question of taxes at forgiveness, if you are 10 or more years into an income-driven plan with a meaningful remaining balance, this is worth addressing now. Speak with a certified public accountant or a student loan specialist who can model your projected forgiveness amount, help you understand the potential tax impact under current law. Having a plan for that liability well in advance is far better than encountering it unexpectedly. The income-driven repayment landscape is changing in a significant way. RAP is a real simplification of a system that has been genuinely complicated for borrowers to navigate. In that sense, the intent behind the change is understandable. But simpler does not automatically mean better for everyone who is borrowing. The removal of SAV's income protection feature means that some people who are on the most affordable plan available will see their monthly payment increase under RAP. The extended forgiveness timeline means that borrowers who were closer to relief under shorter-term plans now have more runway ahead of them. The borrowers who will come through this transition in the best position are the ones who understand their numbers, know their deadlines, and make a deliberate choice. Rather than arriving at June 2028 and letting the default do it for them, use the loan simulator at studentaid.gov. It is free, it takes about 10 minutes, and it is the most reliable starting point for understanding what this change means for your situation, specifically. If you found this breakdown useful, consider sharing it with someone you know who is managing student loans. This policy change is affecting 43 million people, and clear information about how it actually works is genuinely hard to find. Leave a question in the comments if there's a specific scenario you want addressed. I read them and do my best to respond. Thanks for watching.